Hello, my crafty friends. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you how to make this fun bridge fold card. I thought that the paper, the elegance of the die cut really lent itself to a wedding theme. So that's what I made with this card. So it stands up. You can see that. Isn't that cool? But it folds flat and it will fit in a standard envelope, just like that. And then on the back, you can write your message. Here's to beautiful beginnings and happily ever afters. And it features all of the wonderful papers in the Countryside the Countryside in Designer Series paper. There's some embossing, die cutting, and lots of layers, but it's actually a very easy card to make. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Linda Edwards. I am with Crafty Hair and Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I have all of the measurements and the items that I use today here for you. I will also put this information in the description on the video. So whether you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook, you should be able to find it. So the sentiments today came from the Something Fancy stamp set. I feel like I've used this a lot. It's really got a great variety. Here's to beautiful beginnings and happily ever afters, and then the congratulations. So set that aside. And actually the envelope, I made that with the Sentimental Park, the two little flowers on Sentimental Park. I thought it went really well with the Designer Series paper, so I'll show you how I did that. And of course, this is one of the Elegant Borders dies. This is an online only offering, and you can see that it comes with 4 dies. And they're all really fun and interesting. This one I felt was kind of the laciest, so I felt it lent itself again to a wedding card. I wanted something really elegant. And the other thing I'm using is the Countryside Blossoms embossing folder. And these two white pieces here are embossed, so they look kind of lacy. And I will tell you a secret about this folder. So these are the papers from the Countryside in Designer Series paper pack. You can see they're really fun. They're, very elegant. And then they get a little whimsical. This actually has some fox in it and rabbits. And then this one has the birds. And that's the one that I felt like I wanted to feature because, again, to me, I thought, oh, that's nice for a wedding, But the secret is that this particular design coordinates with the embossing folder. So if you line it up, you'd have to cut it properly. Right now, mine's not cut the right way for this particular piece, but you can line it up and it will emboss this Designer Series paper. So that adds just another dimension to what you can do with this paper. Really a lot of fun. It's a great suite. So let's go ahead and get started. We are actually doing this card, did this card in one of my classes. I hold online class or in-person classes. This month they're in the Crafty Heron Studio, which is in my home. And I'm in the Greensboro, Georgia area. So if you are in the area and would love to join me for classes, I would love to have you. The folks in my class are going to get this kit, and it comes with the thick basic white paper. I wanted there to be some heft to this card, especially because of this bridge. So it is cut at 8 by 4 1/4, and it is scored at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 5 1/2, and 6 3/4. So that's the thick basic white. Set that aside. And then for the bridge, I cut this one at 5 inches by 1 3/4 inches, and I'll show you how we're going to get our die cut in a little bit. It's going to go like that. So it gives me some room to do the congratulations. And then this is the standard basic white. This is going to be for layering. I've got 2 that are 3 7/8 long and 7/8 of an inch wide, and we're going to emboss these 2. And then this is the one, the sentiment will go on the back, and it is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. And then the Night of Navy, I did some layering on this. If you decided you didn't want to layer, all of your Designer Series paper could just be this same size as the Night of Navy. It gives you just a nice border all the way around. I cut 2 at 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and then 8 are 4 inches by 1 inch. But because I wanted this to be extra special, I went ahead and cut designer series paper. So these 3 different patterns, pattern 1, 2, 3 here. The first pattern is cut at 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. And if there is an orientation to your paper, make sure you cut it correctly. So the length is for this particular card, it was going to be this way. So it's the 2 7/8. This won't matter so much because you can flip it around. And these are 3 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch. So they are going to layer on here. Just a small, really 1/8 of an inch border. And then a coordinating pattern. You need 2 of them, also cut at 3 7/8 by 7/8. And there's the third pattern, 3 7/8 by 7/8. So you could do them all the same, or you can mix them up. You've got lots of options here. And certainly, I've got the other side as well. But these are the sides that I'm going to do on my card. So I'm going to put that aside. And let's start with the embossing. And we'll bring in the die cut machine to do the embossing and the die cutting. So this die, I'm going to set this aside. And let's go ahead and get started. So this is the die, and you will see, if you can see, there's an edge on one side of this die, and that's the cutting edge. This side won't actually cut out the whole piece. It'll just cut out bits of the card. So cut out these middle pieces. So this is the side that I want, the cut side, and that I want to be up. So I'm going to line this up. Let me scoot that aside. Let me bring in my cut and emboss machine. And you could do this with the mini or the regular machine. I'm using the regular because I need it for the embossing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So I am just kind of eyeballing here where this comes, kind of where it hits, because so that each side is symmetrical. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think it gives it a nice look. And then of course I want it to be straight on the paper. So because I'm feeling kind of particular about it, I am going to go ahead and tape that down so that it doesn't move as it runs through the machine. And this is just your standard sandwich for die cutting. You've got the base plate, the thin die adapter, number 2, and then the 2 cutting plates. So, put that aside, take that away, and I got a nice clean cut with that. So I'll take that all out later. And then all I need here is to take those 2 little pieces out. And there you have it. That's going to be my bridge. So set that aside. And now I'm going to emboss the other pieces. So for the embossing, actually this is a standard embossing folder. So I will need the base plate. And it tells you right here, plates 1 and 2, plate 3s. So set that down. And here's the other one. Now, I could have cut this, I could have waited to cut it after I embossed it, but I kind of wanted to be a little particular about where my embossing is going to hit. So I'm lining it up so that, let's see, so that that piece is in the center. And then I'm going to come back and do the other. You don't have to be that particular, but again, this is a special card for a special event, so I felt like I wanted to do that. Now you could do them both the same, if you like symmetry, that would be one way to do it. Because I wanted to showcase the different pieces, I went ahead and did it differently. So I think so I started with the medallion, and now I want to highlight this other flower here. So I'm gonna put that in here, line that up, and put that down. It doesn't, oopsie, it moved. Come on. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that's all of our die cutting and embossing. So I'll get that out of our way. And let's go ahead and do, so here you can see. So I've got this one like that. This one will go like this because these little flowers are that way. So, all right, so let's do our stamping. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat because the Congratulations is a photopolymer stamp. I like this because I can see through it, so I can center it. And I'm going to use Night of Navy ink for this. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp, tap, 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 very gently. I like to look at it. Looks pretty good. And now I'm going to center it, and because I know that that's the center of my card, I can pretty much line that up. And then I'm just kind of making sure it's centered top to bottom. There we go. Got it. And then I actually am going to bring in the Stamparatus for the inside of the card. So this is that other basic white piece, which has disappeared, but I know I had it, so I know it's here somewhere. I'm going to move that ink out of the way, move that out of the way, bring the Stamparatus in, and I've got it set up already. Oh my gosh. There it is. It's hiding behind the Night of Navy. So I have this set up already. I don't know if if you're as sad as I am about our Stamparatus being no longer available. I hope you were able to get one. It really is a great tool that I use quite often and certainly will continue to use. But, oh well. There are some others on the market that I'm sure if you don't have a Stamparatus that you can find and use. They do come in really handy when you want to get something really straight. So there we go. Especially when you're using a dark ink, and these little ink spots, I kind of didn't mention it, but I like to use the ink spot for that because then the ink doesn't get all the way around the plate. Okay, so there we go. It's nice and straight. So basically, our work is done. It's really straightforward now. We're just going to assemble everything. So we've got, let's see, this one's going to go on here, and all of these are going to go together. But you do have to be a little careful just to make sure you're going to layer your bridge fold correctly. So I'm going to layer everything except these. I'm not going to layer these two yet because that's where the bridge is going to go. So go ahead and get that on. There we go. And another one. I'm looking at my nails. Oh my goodness, I was in the garden this morning. We have a community garden in our neighborhood, and this is the first full season that I've participated. I have a lot of shade in my yard and a lot of deer. So I have not been able to grow vegetables, and I am so excited because I have vegetables this year. So fun. So I was there planting one more thing. I planted a shishito pepper. We have peppers and tomatoes and zucchini and yellow squash and green beans. And I actually was able to harvest some cherry tomatoes and some green beans. So I'll be making something for dinner with those vegetables. It's really kind of fun. Although I will tell you that I have a whole new appreciation for farmers now, after having had this garden. We started it last summer, and it was a very wet, August was just so wet here. And so many of our plants just basically rotted because it was so wet. And I thought, oh my God, can you imagine if I was doing that for a living? Just really, again, a whole new appreciation for those farmers out there, orchards, farms, whatever, you know. I just have this tiny little plot, and I actually share it with a couple of friends. So it's really sharing a lot of the work, and it's still a lot of work, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Last one here. And then I'll show you how to do the folding and putting it all together. Of course, since I've already cut everything, it makes it go faster. The cutting, I mean, it doesn't take super long, but, you know, it can be a little tedious, but I think it's really a fun look. So, okay, so set these all aside and let's get to the folding. So you've got your card. It's basically a gatefold. So you're gonna fold the first side in, the closest to, right? Fold those to the center. So it's kind of like an overlapping gatefold at that point. But then you're going to fold that away like a Z. And you do want to make sure that you get those well burnished. There we go. So you'll end up with a card that looks like that, right? So it's going to open, and you could do something with that, right? And open it. But now we're going to take it and we're going to create a bridge. I'm going to make sure that that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble everything except for these front two pieces. So the bridge will go on last. So go ahead and do the center. And then the back center. There we go. And then I'm going to do the inside here, and I chose this pattern. Again, you can kind of mix and match it. This is a great card, even if you don't have this paper, you can just use something else that might be in your stash, and you don't actually need the die either. Borders die. You can just do it as a rectangle. It doesn't have to have that fancy lacy die. You could just do the bridge as a simple rectangle and decorate it. There are a lot of different things you can do with this card. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to wait to do the front, those two, and I'm going to do these on the back. So I'm going to put that one in. And I'm just trying to make sure that they kind of line up. However the first one is, that's how I want them to line up all the way across, so that the navy border is kind of level, all on one level. So you can see I kind of ended up, my first one is a little bit, I have a little more space down here than up here. Not a big deal. I'm just making sure that they all line up the same way, and then it really won't be quite so evident that I did that. And I don't care that these are not exactly the same patterns. Matter of fact, I kind of like the fact that they're staggered a little bit. I think it gives it a little more interest. But I am being careful to make sure that my birds are upright. That would bother me if I did that one wrong. Okay. I try not to get too caught up in the little things, but that I don't think is a little thing. All right, so now I'm gonna put just the navy on here because my bridge is gonna go between the navy and the white. Now you could just put it under the navy. I just liked the way it looked to have it, the navy behind it. I'll show you in a minute. Where's my other navy? Just kind of get to see that white of the bridge in front of the navy. I just think it looks pretty. But, you know, you could do it the other way, or if you, for some reason, kind of mess up and forget, that's not a big deal. You can put it in. All right. So now, before I put those on, now this is the time for the bridge. So the bridge is going to, when it's open, the bridge is going to look like that. And you can just kind of decide how far up and down you want it. If for some reason your bridge is a little too long, you could certainly cut it off. I think mine's going to be fine, but I do want to make sure when I put this on, can you see that it's not sticking out beyond where my white my top layer is for my white. That's how it's going to go on. And I've got plenty of room. It's not going to be a problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach that side. Yeah, I'm going to attach that side. And I kind of just eyeballed it to see about where I'm going to hold it on this side, kind of where I want it. Remember, this side is folded, right? That side is folded. It's no glue on the right side. I want it up, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or so. Trying to make sure it's level. And then I'm putting that side down there. All right. And now I will put some adhesive on this side. Again, fold it down. This side's flat open, this side's folded down. Again, I'm watching to make sure that it's level. And it's going to go right there. And now I just basically am going to put these pieces on. They go right on the top, and then the card is done. Oh, I forgot I didn't do my stamping of the envelope. I'll do that after this. So I hope you like what you see. If you have any comments, it always helps other people find me. If you can comment and give me a thumbs up or hit that like button. Comments especially do help other folks find me. If you want to see more videos, more of the cards that I do, I try and put about one out a week. And if you follow my page or subscribe if you're on YouTube, then you will be notified when I put in a new video. So last thing I'm going to do is this flower on the envelope. I'm going to start with the navy. And let's see, let's bring in the Stampin' Pierce matte because this is a photopolymer stamp. So that little bit of cushion helps it to really give a good impression. So I like to start with the outline first, and then I'm going to come in, and I find it's easier for me to line up. This is the Balmy Blue. It's easier for me to line this up if I've already got the outline done. Kind of watching that. So here we go. I'm looking at these berries first, or I don't know if they're flower buds or berries, and then kind of holding it. I've got my baby fingers kind of giving me some distance there, and then looking over the top of it and lining it up. And there we go. So that's our card for today. Thank you for joining me, and if you've made it all the way to the end, I appreciate it. If you want to any of the items that you saw today in the video, you can find them at my online store. The link is in the description. I'm at Crafty Heron Designs, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.